everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's going to be a fun day. We're going to talk a little bit about pests. What's that?
I can't see you.
Can't see me.
No.
Can you guys see me out there? Dale's in the background and he says he can't see me. So hopefully you guys can see me and I'm not just black screen talking. Nothing. Okay, somebody let me know if I'm there. Hopefully I am there. Oh, I disappeared. Oh no! Okay, let's... Interesting. Well, give me a minute and I will figure out what's going on because it shows to me that I am on. Maybe... No, it's still showing not. I did that, yeah. I have Dale over here helping now. Oh my gosh. Okay. Huh. Well, I'm sorry, everybody. We're working on
my
it.
camera.
Top over there.
Yeah, let's trade me computers.
Dale and I are switching computers. Hold on. Just a second. Okay, the audio. Wow, this is the most problems we've ever had, I feel like. My goodness. Okay, so hopefully the background's okay because Dale usually just sits to the side of me. And I don't know what is going on with mine, but somehow my computer wasn't working. So now, oh, and it even says that I'm Dale too. So
I got you.
I am not Dale. I am Carrie. Hi, everybody. I am so sorry for the issues we had, but hey, we're only 3 minutes in and we have it fixed. So we are all good now. Woo! So welcome everybody. I am excited to talk all about pests. I feel like pest management is one of the biggest things because honestly in the garden, there are so many pests sometimes, and being able to manage them organically is key, especially for us because we're going to be eating a lot of the food that we're growing and we want to make sure that we can handle everything and we know exactly what's going into our food. So everything we can do to help the beneficial critters fight the good fight and get rid of the pests is great. So we are here in Zone 7 in Oklahoma City. So welcome everybody. I love to see everybody over here from all the different zones. I see we have a lot of people from Zone 9. I see some of those. Oh, Mustang. Hi, Sue. Did you have wind? So, oh no, a third of a peach tree. Yeah, we had a huge storm go through last night here in Oklahoma, and it was supposed to be like 80-mile-per-hour winds. Like it was really intense. We didn't have much damage. I mean, we did see a pea that got knocked over a tree. And nothing really, really big happened here, though. Luckily, we were so lucky. I feel like our house kind of blocked our garden and we have big trees around the garden too. So we were pretty lucky there, but we did lose one pea plant, but it's okay. We have a lot of those and I was out there snacking. So we have plenty. Well, hopefully your peach tree can recover, Sue. Oh, I see we have, and we have people in Zone 4. We have people from Indiana, all over the country. It's amazing. I love it. Oh, and even more from Oklahoma. It's great. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining. And if you are new here, I'm Carrie. My husband Dale and I are the creators of the From Seed to Spoon app. We along the way of growing our own food, we had a lot of different problems that we ran into, and we kept thinking, man, there's got to be an app for that. So we went through and made the app, and it's been an amazing ride and I love it. And today, actually, we are going to be giving away a free 1-year premium from Seed to Spoon app subscription. So make sure you guys comment away. Okay, awesome. Loving the app. It also tells me what pests to expect per plant type. Yes. Oh, fantastic. I'm so glad it's been helpful for you. That's so great. And our new GrowBot feature too. I know you just, I think you are one that is testing out our new GrowBot too. I am excited for that. GrowBot is going to be new and improved. We are working on getting a new update out for the premium users. They're going to be able to see the, they're going to be able to send pictures to GrowBot. So that way, GrowBot can help you identify pests or plants or help what's wrong with your plant and all of that. It's going to be amazing. Is there a way to show you a picture of our plants? So there, well, right now, I mean, if you want to email it to us, you can. But GrowBot here very soon will be able to help you with all picture related issues also. It's exciting. Okay, here we go. So today we're going to talk all about organic pest management tips. We're going to be talking just a few of the main pests, not all of them because there are so many of them out there. But we are going to be going over just a few of the most common ones and the most common tips and tricks. And if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Or if you have other tips and tricks too, whenever we're talking about a pest, I would love to hear what you guys have tested out. If you guys have any surefire ways to get rid of these pests, help everybody out, pop up your suggestions in the side. I would love to see them. Okay. Oh, yep. So I already went over this. So one lucky winner here in the chat is going to be getting a free 1-year from premium from Seed to Spoon app subscription. And all you need to do is just comment over here to be entered to win. And then we will select the winner at the end. And this person too can get early access to the GrowBot, which is sending the GrowBot photos over, and also unlimited plants in your garden. You also will get free shipping on all of your orders through the app. So there's a lot of amazing benefits for having this. So make sure you all stick around to the end and we'll announce a winner. Okay, so let's jump right on in. So the first one we're going to talk about is cabbage worms. So if you are growing any sort of brassica, I'm sure that you all have battled these. They are those little tiny worms you can kind of see in that bottom picture right there on a leaf where they have been eating. There's a bunch of holes in that leaf. And they are definitely, oh yes. So this right here, what you're dealing with, I'm sure, is probably some cabbage worms because they leave the little holes behind whenever they're munching on your food. So these guys they can be relatively easy to handle. But first of all, you do need to make sure that, prevention is always key. So if you can prevent them, that is the best way to go about it. We have some insect covering on some of our garden beds. Now we don't have them on all of them, and you can definitely see the difference. We were out there this morning harvesting things, and it was just a night and day difference. Underneath the insect netting, like the plants are so big and beautiful, and the leaves are solid, like no issues. And then in the open garden beds, like they're very holy leaves, and we have a lot of issues with cabbage worms sometimes. So we try to do a lot of companion planting as well, which can really help to disguise our problem plants. So cabbage worms, like the name sounds, they usually go for the brassicas, things like your cabbage worms or the brassica, like broccoli, things like that. So those are the ones you kind of want to protect from these. And if you plant around them things like that are very have a lot of scent. So things like rosemary, like strong scented herbs, or onions, garlic, those are also amazing companions. And then also like flowers, like nasturtiums are also really good too to help get them off of the trail of your brassicas. And I will say one of the biggest things that we do with our cabbage worms are once we do have a huge issue, we will go through and spray some BTK, is what it's called. They are, it's just this naturally occurring um, soil microorganism, and it just will, you can spray it on your leaves and all that. It won't hurt you, it'll just hurt your caterpillars. And then also neem oil is also one that can help with cabbage worms also. Now, you do want to be really careful with neem oil if you are in the hot weather. So anytime you have temperatures above like 90 degrees or so is typically what I say. You want to be careful about the spraying neem oil because it can suffocate your leaves. So definitely if it is hot out, spray it like first thing in the morning. Do they eat Brussels sprout leaves? So yes, for sure. They would definitely be after Brussels sprouts as well. So Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, kale, kohlrabi, cauliflower, all of those plants that are in that same family, those ones are all ones that these guys will go to. And if you ever see those little, you can kind of see it in that screenshot over there, that little white moth, almost like a little butterfly. That's what they look like whenever they're flying around your garden, and then they land on your brassicas, and then they lay, and then the worms will, the cabbage worms will come from that. So you want to be watching out for both. Okay, are you planting mint around cabbage in a container? Fear of mint taking over? Yes, that's a fantastic concern. I'm glad that you realized that. So with mint, yes, anytime I companion plant with mint, I do always put them into a container, unless it's an area that I do want them to take over, which sometimes I do have areas like that. But yes, if I'm using it as a companion plant for pests, I'm putting it in a container, and most likely like a 3-gallon, 5-gallon smart pot or so. I just set it next to the problem area, and that'll be good. Okay. Do we have any other questions about cabbage worms before I go on to the next one? Okay. I don't think Dale's not in the room anymore, so I can't talk to him except through here. Okay. Oh, okay. He's walking in. Okay, so next, tomato hornworms. I'm sure you all have seen these if you've ever grown tomatoes before. They are huge. I mean, I was surprised the first time that I saw them. You would be amazed. And it's amazing too how easy they can blend into your tomato plants. With how huge they are, you would think that they would be really easy to find, but they hide so well in tomatoes. And so they are these really, really long, fat caterpillars. I mean, that's the best way to describe them. And they do have this little like it looks like a horn, I guess you could say, on the edge, and they look super threatening, but they won't hurt you, but they look very threatening. And I know a lot of people will handpick them, but I am still terrified of them just because they do look menacing. So I'm always wearing gloves when I pick them, or something, because they're menacing. And I do want to point out too, so these are ones that, again, if you can prevent them, it is great. And I always say, try to go about bringing in these wasps into your garden, because they will help you with the hornworms, and they will demolish your hornworm for you. So in this picture up here, you'll see there's a tomato hornworm that has the little white eggs on it. That's actually a wasp that has laid eggs on that hornworm, and that hornworm is gone. Like it's going to be dead within, really quick. So you don't have to worry about it anymore, but let it be if you see that, because then it will hatch more wasps that will help you out in the garden. Okay, so I see a question. Last year, I planted basil around my tomatoes and a few other things and didn't have any caterpillar issues. Yes, that's great. Yeah, basil is an amazing companion plant. So basil, marigolds, calendula, even nasturtiums, all of those. Dill is another terrific companion plant because it helps to bring in those wasps as well. And like I said, these wasps will really help a lot with these hornworms too. Um, Now, there are a few things that you can do as well. There, again, you can do the BTK spray, which will help you with any sort of issues. I typically, whenever I have an issue, if I have a tomato plant that has like more than one hornworm on it, I will spray that plant. But typically, if I see that, like, I'll just hand pick and try and manage it that way. But you definitely can use BTK for them as well as diatomaceous earth. Again, you do need to be a little careful with diatomaceous earth and not put it on like any sort of blooms or things like that because you don't want to hurt like the bees or anything like that. Okay. Any other questions about tomato hornworms? Get a black light. Oh, yes. Thank you so much for bringing this up. I have wanted to try this, and maybe this year I will finally remember to do this because I keep seeing the suggestion and I've never done it. And I definitely want to go out there and try it because they are so hard to find in the daytime. They're huge, but it's so hard to find. I love this idea. I'm definitely going to try it. I've heard a lot of really good things about how it works. I saw a lot of white flying things around some tomatoes I grew last year. What are those? Um, Probably white flies. If they were smaller, that's probably what I would imagine. Um, for those, all you really need to do is just put out these yellow sticky traps. You can get them anywhere. We have them in our app. You can get those, and then also just the Parkseed website has all of those too. But I would recommend doing the yellow sticky traps. That'll handle that issue. Yep, that's it right there. And then also, if you have a pest or a plant or something that's out there too, like that's one thing that I've been using the new Growbot feature for. I've been going out there being like, ooh, what is this? What is wrong with this plant? What pest is this? And just taking a picture of it and sending it over to Growbot, and Growbot will help me identify it and then tell me what to do also, which is amazing. I love it. Okay. Go on to, oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we'll do this question real quick. I'd say, any tips for keeping stink bugs from spraying tomatoes and spotting them up? I do not like stink bugs either. They're a pest. They are very pesty. If you can, I would highly recommend doing some sort of insect netting, because that's really going to be the only surefire way. And then again, like I do a lot of hand picking with these as well. I know there's a lot. Using things like trap crops can help as well. So trying to keep them away from the area that you want to protect. So if they keep going on your tomatoes, plant something else that you want to put somewhat close, and then they'll go to those instead. You could use things like sunflowers. Mustard is a really good one too. So those ones will be good. And then also neem oil works too for those as well. But again, just be careful if it is too hot outside, be careful not to spray that in the heat of the day. Okay, well, we have aphids coming up on a later slide. Should we skip ahead?
Yep.
Skip ahead. Let me find aphids. Aphids. Here we go. Okay, we'll go ahead and talk about aphids since we're getting questions about aphids. Okay, serious aphid problems. I have marigolds. So neem seems to kill them, but I was hoping for something more natural. Okay, so yes, aphids. Oh man, we had a huge aphid issue this year I feel like for the first time ever, because we left our garage open and some aphids found their way inside of our seed starting area. And oh man, we had so many problems with them. But luckily, like we can put them outside, and now the ladybugs are out, and the ladybugs can go to work for us. Aphids will the ladybugs will devour your aphids for you. That is the best thing that I can tell you, is try to encourage as many ladybugs as you can into your garden. And this picture up at the top is actually a baby ladybug, and they will eat so many aphids. They are incredible, and they will go through and I know they're weird looking, because the first time we saw them, we're like, oh, what is that? We thought it was some sort of pest, but no, we actually found out it was a baby ladybug, and they will devour aphids for you too. So anytime you see that, it's a great thing, and leave it be. You can also if you have an issue, you can go through and just spray the underside of leaves with some water to knock them down to the ground, and then they can't get all the way back up. Now you will have to repeat this a few times just to make sure there's no new aphids, things like that. But that is a great natural way to go about getting rid of any aphids as well. And then some companion planting. So again, things that are going to have like strong scents. So rosemary, mint, basil, cilantro, garlic, chives, all of those are going to be really good for keeping the aphids away and away from your plants that you want to protect. Okay. I think we were on squash bugs. Yep, we were on squash bugs. Okay. So squash bugs are my nemesis in the garden. I don't know about everybody else, but this is probably my biggest nemesis in the garden. I do not like squash bugs. They will destroy my zucchini, and I love zucchini so much, any sort of squash. And so anytime they come out, I get so mad, and I'm over there trying to get rid of them. So really the best thing to do with squash bugs is to try and prevent them from getting a hold on your plants. So things that you can do is whenever your zucchini plants are starting to grow, we've been trying to grow ours almost vertical. I know if you've ever grown zucchini before, it's really difficult to do because there's it's real big, like almost bushy, but if you kind of help tie it to like a T-post right next to it and kind of try to train it to grow vertical, it can really help as well, because you will see if there's a problem faster, and then all your beneficial creatures in the garden too will help. So things like praying mantis will find them, and they will help you with that fight as well. So you kind of want to train them up to grow vertical if you can. And again, just going through and inspecting the bottom of your leaves is where you will most likely see the eggs being laid. And up at the very top, that's a picture of the squash bug eggs. So if you ever see that, you can take any sort of sticky tape and stick it off, or a lint roller. You can take a lint roller and roll those eggs off. And then the middle picture right here is when they just hatch. So they look like all these little tiny like spiders. Ugh, yeah, it's really creepy looking. But again, you want to do the same thing. You want to get rid of those suckers as fast as you can. And this down here is the adult squash bug. So if you see that, definitely get rid of it if you can. We do a lot of hand picking and tossing into like a jug of soapy water. Really, that's about all you can do with squash bugs organically. There's not great methods. Some people say that neem oil works really well for them. We haven't had great luck with pretty much anything except hand picking and just staying on top of it. And there are some things. Oh, can I train yellow squash to grow up? Yes. So any sort of yellow squash or zucchini, things like that, you can definitely do it. So what I do, it's the same as with zucchini. I just put like a little T-post next to it and just kind of tie it to grow vertical going up. And it'll be a little difficult at first, but it'll learn and it'll go up too. I got one of those net coverings for my squash. Is it okay if the net layers loosely and touches the plants? So, yeah, I would say that's just fine. Just be careful whenever you water as well, because you don't want it to like be sitting in the water. But also, I would only have it covered whenever it's younger and it's not fruiting, because then the pollinators can't get to it unless you're going to be hand pollinating, which is great. So for me, what we're going to be doing this year is we're going to be attempting to grow ours under some insect netting as well, but we're going to keep it under some insect netting until it gets older. So that way we don't have to deal with it in the beginning. And then once it starts to flower, we're going to open it up. So that way the pollinators come in, do their work, and we can get squash from it. So with squash bugs, there's some good companion plants that you can do, things like marigolds, nasturtiums. Mint and dill were ones that were really good about helping us last year a lot. So we're going to be doing a lot of mint and dill again. And again, anything strong scented. You're going to notice a trend here. Strong scents and herbs are all amazing companions. So while we're on the topic of squash, will chickens eat squash bugs? Did our chickens eat squash bugs last year? I don't know if they did or not, but I feel like they would. I feel like they would.
Spiders do.
Yeah, spiders do. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I would, if you have chickens, absolutely go for it. Like, give it a try, see if they'll do it. Okay, so what is hand pollinating? So you would be essentially doing the job of the butterflies and the bees. So you would be going through and helping the pollen go from the male flower over to the female flowers. So it's sometimes people can take like a Q-tip and go through and just rub it along the male flowers and go take it over to the other one. But again, like I feel like once you are at the stage where it's flowering, you can go ahead and just open it up and let nature do it for you. So that way you don't have to. We do hand pollinate things that are like inside that we don't have pollinators for, but we don't do a lot of hand pollinating outside. So have you ever successfully grown your squash upside down? I have not. Yeah, I haven't ever tried doing that, but that's definitely an interesting question. Has anybody else done that? I'd love to see in the chat if somebody's done that, but I have not tried to do that before. So on the same level as squash bugs, squash vine borers are no fun. They are, if you ever go out there, your zucchini or your yellow squash, it's doing amazing. And then the next day you go out and it's just dead, like boom. It was probably the squash vine borer. So a lot of the times you won't notice it until it is at the very end of its stage. So it's this little, so that's the squash vine borer up there. It bores into the stem of the squash plant and it eats it from the inside out pretty much. It's really gross. So you will notice after you're looking to see what happened to your squash plant, you will notice that at the base of the plant, it looks all like really yucky, and you'll see a lot of grossness. I don't know how else to describe it, but you'll notice that there's an issue. So a few things, again, prevention for these. And one thing that you can do is, besides insect netting, again, we're going to be handling our squash very similar. Like I already said how we were handling with the squash bugs. We're going to do the same thing for this reason as well, is growing it under insect netting and then opening it up whenever we have flowers for pollination to occur. But if you don't have insect netting, another thing that you can do is take some aluminum foil and wrap the base of that plant up, and that will make it so that way the squash vine borer won't be able to bore into the base of that plant and lay its eggs. So it'll help down there. So that's definitely one thing that you can do for prevention. And then of course, companion plants too. Now, of course, it's going to be all the same ones that we've been talking about: mint, nasturtiums, but also radish. Radish is another really good one to help with like squash bugs, squash vine borers. So that's definitely something that I would recommend trying. Okay. Do you have any more questions on squash bugs or squash vine borers before we move on?
Not seeing any.
Okay. We can always come back to things too if you guys think of something after. Okay. Next, cucumber beetles. So these look just like ladybugs, and they are, instead of the red and black, they are yellow and black. And they will go through and they will cause various diseases for your cucumbers. They cause a lot of issues. So you definitely want to handle them whenever you see them. So besides hand picking, again, they are an amazing, easy idea for them is by simply putting up those yellow sticky traps. These work amazing for cucumber beetles. Super easy. All you do is just simply take that yellow sticky trap, remove a side, move the other side, and you can either just like hang it up or put it up somewhere, and it works amazing at catching these cucumber beetles along with other little other pests as well too. It's really helpful. You can also do DIY methods too for cucumber beetles. So we built a DIY cucumber beetle trap, which is that image up there in the corner with the yellow solo cups. So you're trying to mimic what the squash flowers looked like. And then we put some of the tangle trap coating on the inside. So that way, whenever they landed in on it, they would get stuck. So it was super easy to build something like that. That works also. And then again, if you can, insect netting works great. Now it's going to be a little bit more difficult for things like cucumbers, because cucumbers do need space to grow and they need a trellis. So it is difficult to cover these. But if you can, it is amazing to do to protect from all sorts of different pests. And other companion plants, very similar to the ones that we've talked about in the past, the nasturtium, marigold, and then like catnip, mint, chives, sage. All of those herbs too are going to be really great at helping to hide your cucumber beetles and all that. It works great. Squirrels. Okay. So I put up squirrels because squirrels are something that we are battling this year. But we do have a lot of these tips will work for any sort of squirrels or rabbits or voles, mice, rats, things like that. A lot of these suggestions will work for all of those. The biggest the thing that is the most effective is going to be that motion activated sprinkler. It works amazing at keeping all sorts of small critters, even the larger critters. So things like cats or deer, even if you have those types of issues, they have been known to help with that as well. But these motion activated sprinklers are so helpful. So if you just put them in the garden where you are having any sort of issues, whenever it senses motion going by, it'll start spraying erratically, and it'll scare off either the squirrel, whatever it is that you're having issues with. It will help spray and scare it away. Oh, I saw a question pop up, but it went away. So that's something that helps really good. Also, if you can cover any seeds, especially if you just started seeds, try to cover them with some burlap because squirrels and voles and rabbits, things like that, are known to kind of scrape at the soil. So you want to try and cover if you can, anything like that. Owls, fake owls are helpful sometimes as well, especially the ones that have like the wiggly heads. Those ones are a little bit more lifelike and it'll scare them away a little bit better. And then any sort of cat or dog that you may have will help as well with this. And so companion plant wise for squirrels, they again do not like the sense of like things like onions, garlic, chives, and that goes with a lot of those small rodents too. And then if you want to try and protect like the outside of your garden, some people lay down things like bone meal, blood meal, because they don't like using things like that. Can you hit a button to turn it off from spraying humans? So yes, that's a great question because it has gotten us on more than one occasion, and it's pretty funny. Um, you know what? I don't know if there's like a button. I'm sure they're all motion activated sprinklers are going to be a little different. I'm sure that there's one that has a button or something along those lines, but we usually just turn it off from the source, and so that way it's turned off, and then we go into the garden, and then whenever we leave, we turn it on. So that's how we usually handle that. Yeah, so I do want to mention too. So if you see on the side, I've been sharing all these screenshots of the app with these pests. I want to make sure that everybody does know that all of these pests and organic tips and advice, things like that, is all in the app as well. So make sure you check that out. There's pests, there's beneficials. So if there's anything that we didn't go over today too, I'm still continuing, but if there's anything that I didn't hit that you want to look at, go check the app out or go check Robot out as well. And also we have that QR code up on the top of the screen too. So if you don't already have our app, make sure you download it right now. It'll help you out. Okay, slugs and snails. This is something that people always bring up, and there is a super, super easy solution for these. And I just harvested some collards this morning and I had a snail of all things on one of the leaves. Yep, definitely. Especially if it's a morning time. Yeah, you'll see them out a lot. And one thing that we do is like before bed in the evening time, we lay out these little small saucers and we just pour in a little bit of beer right there. And yep, you see Joshua Gordon, he knows. Put some beer in those little saucers and these slugs and snails will be attracted to that right there, and they will hop in there and they will no longer be an issue for you. So that is a super easy trap to do and works amazing to keep these slugs and snails out of your garden. Again, there's also things like baits you can lay down or diatomaceous earth, but honestly, the beer trick works super well. You could also do things like laying down crushed eggshells around the base of your plants. That can help too, because they can't really walk over that. It's I say walk over that, slide over that, I guess. It wouldn't be great. So there's a few tips, but yeah, once you do the beer trick, you'll never go back. It works amazing. Okay, we already talked about aphids. We skipped ahead of that. Ants. Okay, we figured that somebody out here would bring up ants because somebody always brings up ants no matter. Oh, yeah, there we go. I figured we had somebody. East Texas and fire ants have heavily invaded my raised garden beds. Oh, yes. Okay, so fire ants. Oh, that's nasty. So I will say, like, unless they are fire ants, like regular ants aren't actually an issue unless they're an issue for you. Like fire ants, obviously, you do not want them in your garden. But ants themselves aren't necessarily a pest, but I do understand that a lot of people want them out of the garden. I do too. But one thing there's a few things that you can do. One of the easiest things that we've done just to like relocate our ants is by boiling some water in a pan and going out and just dumping it directly over where we have the issue. And that will help as well. That'll help them move away from your garden and hopefully move somewhere else that you don't want them. Things like these ground cinnamon, peppers, things like that can also be helpful. We also made traps with like borax and sugar before for like really big problem areas. Now you do need to be careful if you do have other pets around, because you do not want anything else getting into that. So make sure that you don't have like any cats or dogs or anything that can get a hold of that. Diatomaceous earth, again, you could try that. That can help too. Yeah, hopefully some of those tricks will help you with your ant situation. Okay. Whew. Like I said, 12:42. I knew we would have a lot of questions too. And I figured even by limiting the amount of pests that I would talk about, we'd still go right up to the end with all those pests. And that's definitely not even all of the pests that you could encounter. And I definitely want to recommend keeping Growbot handy, because Growbot can be super helpful to, again, identify if it's a pest. Sometimes it might not be. It might be beneficial, and it'll help you identify and know exactly what to do in them as well. Okay, do we have any other questions, or do we want to do the giveaway now? A few more questions? Okay, let's pop up a few more questions here. Okay, so for the yellow sticky traps, do you ever have problems getting your ladybugs stuck in them? So I have actually never had any sort of problems with any beneficials, unless you want to count flies as a beneficial, because they do pollinate, but I consider them more pesty. That's really the only I've never had any issues with ladybugs or butterflies or anything like that. I know some people have mentioned it before and people are very concerned about it, but I've been using them for years and I've never had any issues like that before. I got one of the 17-inch Vigo beds. Should this be tall enough to keep rabbits out? Probably. It should be good. I guess I should probably test this out. We used to have these giant, like Flemish giant rabbits, and they would hop around, and we let them free roam sometimes in the garden when we're cleaning up. That's fun. But yeah, I would imagine, because we have one of those too, and it worked pretty well for keeping out. It works pretty well for keeping out all sorts of things. Okay, I'm wondering how to tell the difference between ladybugs and some that look similar to them, especially when they are small. Oh, you popped one out. Okay, so difference between ladybugs. So again, I would always use Growbot. If you are in doubt, and send them a picture too. It's hopefully going to be going live, this new feature, very soon. But if you are not and you have premium access right now, email us here within a day or so, and within 24 hours, and we will get you access to it. So that way you can start testing out and testing the difference between all the different creatures that you can see out in the garden. Okay. Do you notice less pest issues in raised beds set away from other plants, or do the pests find it all the same? I think it really just depends on what's going on around it. Um, I mean, if you have like companion plants around them, or if you have like a heavy wooded area with lots of hiding things, um, yeah, it's really so dependent upon the situation. You can have the identical beds like planted out, and then like one gets more sun than the other, so the pests like it more. It's yeah, but honestly, like yeah, there's no big. Okay, how best to keep your dog from laying in your raised beds? I will say I do have a really funny picture of our dog laying in a smart pot. She thinks that those are just the best dog beds that there are. They must be very comfy. So I would say probably using the motion activated sprinkler, unless your dog likes that though too. But usually the erratic, like how it starts, because it just like suddenly starts and it's pretty erratic, and it goes and it sprays pretty heavily. So I might test that out personally. But we did once have to build a fence just to keep out our dog too. So who knows? Some dogs are more stubborn than others. Okay. No, Growbot is still part of has free preview for the three plants. And then you should be able to see that. And there is a section up at the top area that will show you your history, because each question that you ask, it's a brand new fresh screen that pops up. So there's a section up at the top where it's like settings or something like that, and you can see that. Oh, I'm getting chatted here. Oh, and I hear, but guess what, Kayla? You will get unlimited access to Growbot now, apparently. Congratulations. I was just informed that you won. Woo! Yay! Congratulations. You got the free 1-year premium from access. So you will not only get unlimited Growbot questions now, you will also get you can also get access to the new question and answer. You get that free preview for the pictures that you can send now. And all that. So congratulations. I am excited for you to try it out and see what you think about it. Okay, we have a few more questions. Have you heard about planting your vine plants inside toilet paper rolls half buried to keep away vine borers? Yes, for sure. We've done this before to help against squash vine borers. It definitely works great. We've also used it to help for things like cutworms. If you have any issues with cutworms, there's a lot of benefits of doing this. We've definitely done this. We've done this a few times, especially with, I feel like with beans for cutworms. We had one season where we had to go through and do it for all of them because we kept having issues. But this does work really good for vine borers as well. I love it. I loaded 15 new plants into the app 2 days ago. That's amazing. Yeah, I've been adding plants fast and furious as well, because we've been transitioning. Like today, we went out and pulled a lot of our cool season crops that are bolting, and we're going to be planting out a whole bunch more of our warm season. I'm so excited. I love it. Oh, and super exciting too. A little teaser for you guys. They are working on a new feature too, where you can just take a picture of the seed packet and log it that way, or make a custom plant that way by just taking a picture of the seed packet. It will be awesome. I'm so excited for that. So again, whenever that new feature rolls out, we'll be doing it very similar to this. So if you guys want access to be previewing that, we will definitely be calling on people to help us test it. Okay. My biggest pest right now is the weather. Got anything for the rain and wind and cold? Yes, I feel you. We like I said, we had a storm blow through last night that was like 80-mile-per-hour winds. It was, oh man. But yes, I understand the weather can be a pest, especially right now. So I would say So if you've seen a picture of our garden, we have these DIY PVC hoop houses that we use, and they actually did surprisingly well overnight whenever we had our big storms last night, and those worked really well. So anytime you can do like some sort of like cover, it'll help regulate the rain, and it'll protect your plants from the wind as well. And cold as well too, especially if you have like plastic sheeting on it or any sort of like frost blankets, things like that you can lay over them. It'll really help too. And we did build a little shade wall as well, which is some T-posts into the ground, and we put some shade netting right there. So anything you can do like that. We've also done like living shade walls too, where we will build a trellis and have like beans or something along those, or cucumbers or whatever you want to grow up a trellis, and have some plants off to the side of it. So that way you can still, you can grow things that are a little bit more protected from this wall of plants that you have. Would the yellow sticky traps work for leaf miners? Yes. I wish I could easy pull up a picture that I had of a leaf miner on it. But yes, for sure. It works amazing. So anytime I see leaf miners out, I definitely put out those yellow sticky traps. Works like a charm. Oh, yay. Lisa's just found our app last night. Excited to use it. Well, I am super excited that you found us and that you joined us today too. Awesome. Well, great. Welcome. Okay, a farmer told me if I ever grow cabbage, mix dishwashing solution with water and spray the cabbage. Does anyone else do that? Yeah, I mean, I would say this will work really well for those cabbage worms and things like that. It's basically just like a insect soap that you're making right there. Just wash them away. They won't be landing on it and they'll fall off. Like it'll work really well. Okay, what can I use for my garden to make a flea and tick treatment for my dog and cat? Oh, I don't know if there's anything particularly like off the top of my head for flea and ticks. I mean, maybe something like lemongrass or lavender. I know those sometimes can be beneficial. What we've done in the past is make like a there's like cedar side spray that we use. We get that and we spray ourselves and our animals with that, especially if we're going on a hike or anything like that where we're worried about fleas or ticks. If you spray, can you still feed the leaves to the chickens? Cabbage and broccoli. I'm not sure what we're spraying with. So maybe like BTK, because we did talk about that, or neem oil. Yeah, so either one, I mean, wouldn't be an issue, but I would just rinse it off and you'll be fine for sure. Because all of that is safe for you. I mean, but obviously you're going to be washing it off too. But yeah, I'd say it's perfectly fine. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. This was super fun. And we're going to be doing this every single week too. So if you are just joining us, hopefully you all will join us again next week. And also, if you aren't following us already on our YouTube channel or Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you guys are, we are pretty much. And also, if you are out there and you have premium, make sure to send us an email. So that way you get the early access to these new features that we were talking about, where there was the send a picture for identification and suggestion for that. So I am super excited about that. So if you have access already and you want, or if you have premium access and you want to join in the fun of testing Growbot, go ahead and send us an email. I always forget to mention that we do have a Facebook group. What is it called? Yeah, I forget what it's called. But we do have a Facebook group. So if you guys want to keep chatting, pop in there. I would love to keep chatting with you all there and have you all chat again amongst each other, because I think it's amazing. I love the community that you guys build and everybody chatting about plants and tips and tricks. It's amazing. So I would love to see you all and chat with you all during the week as well. So just search for From Seed to Spoon. I think it's called like grow your own food with From Seed to Spoon. I think is what it's called, something like that. But it's links to our Facebook also. So I hope that we will be seeing you all soon. If next week, same time, same place, we will be here. I'm looking forward to it, everybody.